Because how could it be that certain areas, certain regions of, let's, for the past, whatever, since after World War II, haven't had, some areas haven't had stable governments. There's warlords, there's slaughters, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on in certain nations, and not only particularly in Africa, but we can look at something like that and say, like, what is it? What is it about this region, these people, this? Why is it that they can't get along with each other, for the lack of a better term? You know, because when we look at it, when we can get along with each other, then we can progress, true progress. If people aren't fighting with each other, if there's no warlords trying to take over this part of the nation or this part of the town because of whatever interests that they have, whatever warlord interests they may have. I've always wondered about that. Because we America has tried to bring some of these Western ideals into certain parts of the world, and it just never seems to click with certain folks in certain parts of the world, for whatever reason. you know. But philosophically, if we deconstruct and dig a little bit, we'll get a picture of maybe why in certain regions some of these things, like democracy, let's say. I don't want to talk specifically about democracy, but when some of these ideas like democracy can't flourish. Why can't these ideas like democracy flourish in certain areas, right? And I've thought a lot about that over the years. But as I seen what's been going on lately, I started trying to focus in a little bit on how we can look at this situation that's happening now, but not just in the context of what's happening now, but in the context of other instances that have happened in the past or that may still happen in the future, right? So there's a concept that what Thomas Hobbes called the civil society. Thomas Hobbes was a philosopher, and the civil society is like, just basically what it explains, because mankind in its natural state is when they're in tribes and they're very independent. But even like in a tribe, they've come to an agreement of to have some sort of governance system. There's an elder, or there's different tribes might have different ways of doing things, right? But in the state of nature, man in its most individual form is on his own. But when you start forming tribes, when you start forming cities or towns or whatever, you have to come to an agreement with the other participants in that group, in that town, that, hey, we're going to abide by these set of standards. We're going to abide by these set of rules, right? So when people can come to an agreement, they have a police officer, they have a sheriff. So they've come to an agreement that says, okay, look, we're not going to take the law into our own hands. We're going to delegate that power to a sheriff. We're going to delegate that power to a police department, right? So when we come to an agreement like that in society, that's almost like an example of the civil society. It's almost like it's an agreement, it's an open agreement, but amongst each other, almost unwritten. This is thesis.